Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jumper, and today I'll be reviewing there's the Detective Pikachu movie, which was released back in May of 2019, and it's an adaptation of the games of the same name. Now, this movie stars Ryan Reynolds, Catherine Newton, Jetta Smith, Bill Nighy, and various other actors. And the main plot of the story is that Tim, who's played by Justice Smith, it moves or goes to this city called Rhyme City after he hears about the death of his father, and he finds his buddy Pikachu, who is voiced by Ryan Reynolds, and it's up to the two of them to figure out what happened to not only Tim's father, but also find or help Pikachu recover his memories because he's got amnesia and they kind of like coincide with each other in terms of both plot points. And throughout the whole film, they meet uh, Catherine Newton's character, who's basically this reporter. I think she's Sarah or Chloe. I think that's one of the names. I don't remember. I think it's either Chloe or Sarah. I don't know how to remember, but Catherine Newton's character is basically this reporter. But she's like, but when we first meet her, she says that she basically does magazine articles, but she wants to do more big news stuff. So she helps Tim and Pikachu throughout the story to try and find Tim's dad. And then you've got Bill Nighy, who's the villain of the main of the film, and he basically wants to put his mind into Mewtwo, and then with that power turn and put everyone's mind into Pokemon. It's sort of weird because like throughout the story they both Tim and Katie Newton's character find this sort of weird gas thing, which at start turns Pokemon crazy, but only for like a few minutes. But with the gas, along with Mewtwo's ability, can make people's minds be placed into minds of Pokemon, and I think that's sort of like weird in a sort of metaphorical sense because well, at the end, I'm going to be jumping about in this movie when it comes to reviewing it. When everyone is mind is separated, or when everyone is put into their Pokemon, it's kind of weird because you think once everyone has been taken out, everyone would be weirded out a bit because they were in their Pokemon. They kind of like combined to become their Pokemon, and that's sort of metaphorically weird because how would someone react or feel after they've been in their Pokemon once separated, and how their Pokemon feel, that sort of thing. So it's kind of weird, sort of like in that sort of sense. But I think I'm looking at it too much when it comes to that part of the movie. But I think it's just a very good sort of like one of those typical like detective type movies, but it has Pokemon in it. And what I like about it is that all the Pokemon that you see in the movie look so incredibly realistic and lifelike. The only time that I did feel like they weren't too realistic and made me kind of like come out of the movie a bit was the scene after the Torterra garden when Tim and Pikachu are in this garden with massive Torterras, and they're like the size of mountains, the Torterras, and Pikachu gets hurt, and then Tim sees these Bulbasaurs and a bunch of I don't remember the names. The name will be on screen right now as well as what they look like. They look like little mushroom Pokemon, and they're the only part of the movie that, to me personally, that didn't feel real. And I think that's mainly due to the fact there was a whole lot of them on screen at once. Because with the other Pokemon, even though you get to see a whole bunch of them and sometimes a small group of Squirtles or Growlithe or whatever, they still look realistic. They still look cool and awesome. I think it's because that scene with the Bulbasaurs and stuff comes immediately after the giant Torterra scenes, and you get to see all these giant Torterras. I think the budget was at that point was kind of waning a bit, and there was like, okay, let's just make these Bulbasaurs. Okay, they're done. Just render, put it into the movie. I feel like that's the only bit of the movie that did maybe take me out a bit. Um, and yeah, but everything else looks really cool, especially Pikachu, because Pikachu just looks fluffy and just adorable. And yeah, and all of the other Pokemon look kind of like how Pokemon would probably look like in the real world. So you've got like a Machamp who's just muscle. He's got muscles. You've got a furry Snorlax. You've got a furry Jigglypuff, which is a bit weird because a lot of people, because I've seen various videos that have talked about Pokemon. A lot of people would have thought that Jigglypuff was just some sort of like balloon texture, and I kind of see where they're coming from because in the anime and in the games, a lot of Pokemon don't have the same sort of texture as the ones you see in the movies. So like when it comes to like Snorlax or Jigglypuff, it's kind of weird seeing them having actual fur on them when you're more used to how they look like in the games and the anime. And yeah, I kind of see where people are coming from. So yeah. So with Rhyme City, one of the things that I like about it is that it kind of feels like a combination of three real world cities in one. So that being Tokyo, London, and New York, and that's kind of how I see it because with New York, it kind of is because it kind of feels big, Rhyme City. So I feel like that's where it gets its New York variety from. With Japan, there are several places on buildings in Rhyme City where you have Japanese words and here and there throughout the city, and then with London, you get to see various London-based landmarks or inspirations. So I think one of the big inspirations is the London Underground train logos that you see in when Tim first enters Rhyme City, and then towards the end, and then you get to see I think a London landmark, that giant glass one, not the shard, the other one. There's probably going to be a picture of it on screen. So yeah, and that's quite cool. I think Rhyme City does feels like a city that feels lived in because you got all these different Pokemon and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's a really enjoyable thing. I think when it comes to like exploration, you're gonna feel like, oh, these you get from like one place to the other. Like you start off like in the train station, and then you're in Tim's dad's apartment, that sort of thing. And I think with the movie as a whole, I think it's one of those really enjoyable movies that both fans of the Pokemon series and non-fans of the series might enjoy quite a bit, because with fans of the Pokemon series, they might try and find out every Pokemon that's in the movie. So they might find mainly Pikachu, or they might try and find a Golurk or a Charizard or another Pokemon that might be in the background, just walking about. And for people who might not know about the series or have played like a game or two, might find this fun. Just like, oh, that's cool. I sort of recognize that Pokemon, and yeah, and yeah, I think it's a really cool movie. And I think with one of the probably the more obvious. I don't know how obvious it is to a lot of people, but when it comes to twist, probably one of the more obvious ones is probably the whole Pikachu amnesia thing, because throughout the whole movie, Pikachu says, "Oh, I have amnesia. We have to find your dad." Oh, I'm a Pikachu with amnesia. I don't remember anything. And I think it's the twist. I think because it's dead so many times, it's just, oh, he's the dad, but in the Pikachu body. That's the main twist. And yeah, I think because it's said so many times, it's just it kind of if you catch on to it, it's just oh he's the dad because he doesn't remember anything. It is all the mind of the dad. It's in the Pikachu. So yeah. And also, what I do like about the Pikachu talking thing is that only Pikachu, no, not only Pikachu, only Tim can understand Pikachu, whilst no one else can, because there's a scene when Tim does first meet Pikachu and he learns that he can talk human words. He asks someone walking by if they can understand him, and you can just hear Pikachu just saying Pikachu, just saying his name. And I think that's a really cool way of showing how the game, or not the game, how characters, both Tim and any other characters that can't understand Pikachu can hear him, because only Tim can properly hear Pikachu say words. But then you've got other characters that just hear Pikachu say his name, which I think is quite cool. And when it comes to some of the music, you've got some of the main themes from the main series, and even the main opening to the anime, to the original anime, because there's a bit in the start and towards the end where you hear the Pokemon theme. So you kind of like hear it on this like news broadcast where Bill Nighy and his son are talking about the parade that's happening over the weekend in the movie. And then later on, you hear Pikachu just singing the theme tune. So canonically, Pokemon references itself. So yeah. And then you hear the main battle theme, I think, during the credits, which I think is quite cool. And yeah, I would say overall, this movie is a whole lot of fun. It's one of those enjoyable films that you can just watch and just have fun whilst watching it, and just I think it's just really cool and just a nice, just relaxing movie just to watch every now and again. And yeah, I think it's a nice adaptation of it's probably a good adaptation of the games. I haven't really played Detective Pikachu. I've only seen bits and pieces from the trailers and stuff like that, as well as some clips from the games. But overall, I would say it's a fun, enjoyable movie. So yeah. So that's been my review for Detective Pikachu. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.